Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing good. Doing really
Good.
good.
Good to see you again. Did you have a
Good.
good weekend?
Oh yeah, great weekend. Busy. I've got so much to do now. I thought I had a lot to do before I got clients.
And then all the clients come. My goodness.
And it's like, oh, now I have to do something.
That's a fun problem to have.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's great. It really is.
Well, I know you're busy and I know you've got a lot going on, but I thank you for popping on here really quick with me. When Jackie shared with me what all you have going on, and when we talked last week, I was like, wow. Like I was just thinking about the song that we played, This Girl Is on Fire, at the
Yeah.
event. I was like, she is living that song right now.
Yeah. That's been
Yeah,
crazy. It's been great.
I love it. So I just want to dive right in.
Great.
And I want to ask you, I just want to kind of set context. Before Lifestyle Live and before all this funness started happening with the clients and everything, like what was it before? What was it like before with getting clients or having clients? Or help me understand where you were.
Okay. Before I went to Lifestyle Live, I started in about September, and I was like in this complete, I was the Oliver overwhelm, totally. And I had all of these ideas and all of this stuff that I wanted to do. In my head, I knew what I wanted to do. And then I would talk to people and they'd say, so tell me what it is you do. And I'd be like, nah, I know what I want to do. I can't really explain. And they'd say, well, what do you need to do next? No, I have no idea. I just have this idea of where I want to be in the future. And so I had a few, I had like about 5 or 6 just individual clients that I was coaching, and I was doing really well with them and they were enjoying it and we were having a lot of success. But I was having a hard time with process and how do I put this all together? And then I found Coach's Console, and that was really helpful to be able to organize everything and be able to shoot things out to people and that kind of thing. But I wasn't using it for any advertising or anything like that. And
Mm-hmm.
then I saw the Lifestyle Live, and I'm like, that is totally what I need. And so as soon as I got to Lifestyle Live, I was like, okay, they're going to show me how to use Coach's Console. That's what I thought it was going to be. And then I got there and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so much better.
Oh, good.
So much better. And so I listened to everything. I wrote everything in my notebook. I took notes all over the place. And when I got on the plane to come home, I went through my notebook and I wrote out, okay, this is my plan and these are my goals. And so then I took the next 2 weeks and I got a great big notebook, great big, huge sheets of paper. And I wrote out my 5 steps and I made columns. And I'm like, what is the process for each of these
Oh,
steps?
the 5 steps, like what
Yeah,
when I was on stage, like the client success path. Those are
right.
the
The
5 steps.
success
Oh,
path.
okay. So
Yeah.
like from
So
Pain Island,
I
get
had
off of
done that
Pain
on
Island
the
onto
plane.
Pleasure.
I did like the pain island on the plane
Okay.
and the pleasure island. And so I did this big model and the columns I did like what's the process and then what do I need to facilitate this process? What do I need to get done? And what's the time frame for me and what's the time frame for the client? And then how much does that cost me? How much does this step cost me?
To help
Because
the client when they take this first step, to
right,
support them to get
right,
that experience. So you
exactly.
kind of reverse engineered everything that needed to be
Right.
behind that person taking that step.
Right,
Okay.
exactly. And
Wow.
then I had a couple of people that had talked to me and they were interested, but I couldn't articulate what it was that I did. So they're just like, oh, okay, whatever. So I'm like, okay, I've got this. I've got it in my head. I've got it on paper. I know what I'm doing now. So I just got on the phone and just started calling all of these contacts and I'm like, I know what I'm doing now.
Wow. So
And
before you were, people would say, what do you do? And you kind of alluded to this, oh, it would just kind
right,
of, who knows what comes out of your mouth. It's like, no, it's like you can hear yourself thinking what you want to say,
right.
but it doesn't. It's like when I sing, like in my head, I'm a great singer. When I actually sing, I'm like, ooh, that's not exactly what that was.
Right.
Didn't
And
work so
I
well.
think most of it was because I didn't have it organized in my head. I had the end, what I wanted to take my clients to the end, but I didn't have any process to get there. And I would tend to go in and I'm like, oh, I can do this and this and this. And I'm like, like I said, I was the boat and I was sinking it. I was the Titanic and the people were riding away in the life raft,
Like, get me out of
There
here.
was no, I was just verbalizing everything that I was going to do. And then it was like, now I'm focusing on you. This is what I'm going to, this is what will happen for you instead of what I'm doing. This is what you will do and what your company will do. So when I went in, I thought I was going in and that we were just going to be talking to the owner of the business, but instead he brought all the employees in. So this presentation was in front of all the employees that he wanted to sign up for the program.
And this business owner, is that what you said? You started making a lot of calls, and that was one of the business owners. Like, he was already on your contact list, and you picked up the phone, you started calling. He's one of them. He's like, yeah, let's meet.
Yeah.
And
well,
so you thought you're meeting with
articulate to him what it was that I could do for him. He's like, oh yeah, let's meet.
Isn't that interesting? It's like, oh, it's also interesting. You talked about being an Oliver overwhelmed, like one of the villains that we talked about.
Right.
And while you're talking about the boat and it's like, here's what I can do for you. It's kind of like that role play that we did at the event where Kate was like, oh my gosh, I can do this. And then I can do this. And then I can help you with this. And then I've got this you can do. And it was like, what? And so now all of a sudden we're making them be overwhelmed. So like you said, they're driving away on the lifeboats are like, get me out of here. This girl is crazy. And our enthusiasm just, it's like a fire hydrant. Fire hose.
Exactly.
So now you've articulated, here's the Pain Island challenges. Here's the Pleasure Island results, which you knew this all the way, but what made the difference is that client success path. It's like, here's the overarching steps.
Right.
And then the reverse.
That clear for me.
Yeah. So keep talking about that process. You got that big notepad. Yeah. Frame that. Take that and frame it. Like right now, like, I don't know if you can see up there.
Your napkin.
Those my napkin. Like those monumental things, frame those and keep them because it reminds you of what's happening right now so you never forget it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so talk more about that, the big notebook and what you organize.
So as I wrote it down, I put down all the processes, all the things that I wanted the client to go through in that section. And I named each of the steps. And so then I went and now I'm working on typing up like a weekly type of what kinds of things should I expect my client to be going through each week, because I take them through mostly mine is nutrition. I take them through diet change and we move them through into it and a completely different lifestyle of eating. And so there's mindset that has to happen, changing mindset, changing, behaviors and all of that. And so once I got that down, and then now I'm able to take each individual part and actually put it into a process of its own. So it's now fanning out. And so when I went to the presentation and I addressed their pain and I addressed their pleasure, and then they had everybody who was in the room signed up with me. So,
and how many people was that, Michelle?
I'm thinking I haven't gotten all their information yet, but I'm thinking there's between 35 and 40. So
wow. So you picked up the phone, you think you're having a meeting with one guy, and lo and behold, now he's like, no, you're going to be coaching these 35 to 40, somewhere in there, people. So, and what's interesting, you were talking at the event, one of the things that you wanted to know more how to do was how to scale.
Right.
Like, how do I scale this? Like, I've got a few clients here and there, but how do I scale this? And what I love when I heard this information, I was like, oh my gosh, I have got to talk to her, is that clarity and that confidence. The scaling was just an effortless byproduct. It just happened.
Right. Yeah. And that was on Thursday. And Friday, another one of them that I called, I went in to talk to him and he's hired me as well. And so he's hired me for himself. And he wants me to put together an executive package for all of the VPs and the presidents of his company. And he's talking to me about putting together a kids camp where we do an executive program, and those executives help pay for kids to go
Oh
to the
my
camp
gosh.
and learn the same thing. So I woke up in the middle of the night and I'm like, I have this idea, and I had to come down and write down this whole. So I've got him a whole outline for his kids camp for this summer, and so
now it's the same process.
I
The
did the
kids camp,
exact same
Cane
thing.
Island, Pleasure Island,
Right.
client success path. What are the overarching steps? And then reverse engineer
Exactly.
it.
And he told me exactly what he wants these kids to learn. And he's like, put it into a process and we'll get back together next week. And so yeah.
High five, girl. High five. That is awesome. Well,
Yeah,
I
so
am
it's
really
exciting.
glad that you showed up at Lifestyle Live.
Oh, me too. It's like game
Yeah.
changer, total game
Yeah.
changer.
And I love, and I said this at the event, there's only so much that I can do. I can show you information. I can give you handouts. I can walk you through scenarios, but you have to do the work. And that's what I really love about you. I mean, you right out of the gate, you're on the plane coming home and you're like, okay, we're not messing around. We're
Yes.
doing this. And you
Right.
did the work that was necessary to do. And look, just in less than a week,
Right.
in a week, this has
Right.
happened.
I know.
And that is so awesome. I wanted to share when we were, when I called you last week and I was like, I've got to talk to her. This is so cool. I got off the phone and I thought of something that I wanted to share with you. And it, you certainly don't need me to share this because what you got going on is working really well. And when I map out that client success path, here's something that I take myself through to help. It's like, okay, here's the first step. Now let's detail everything out. Here's the second step. Let's detail everything out.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I ask myself is, and I've got this space in my office where there's just an open area. Because if you remember when I was on stage, I would start at Pleasure Island and I was like, okay, let's take the first step. And I would like get in my body as if I were those clients. And I'd be like, okay, what? Like, let's be them. And so I always ask in that first step, what are they thinking? What are they feeling? What are they saying? Like, what kind of words are coming out of their mouth? What are the actions that they're doing? And so I try to just put myself in their shoes, thinking, feeling, saying, doing. And sometimes I'll even ask, like, what kind of resources are they using or not using? And when I ask that question, it helps flush those details out a little bit more.
Yeah, that's really great.
And really what it helps me is to identify potential pitfalls that might show up along the way. And it's like, oh, wait, in step 3, this is going to start happening. So what can we do to make sure they keep momentum going? Or what can I provide? Is there a resource I can provide? Or is there a handout I can create? Or an exercise I can take them through to keep the momentum going? So that I just wanted to share that with you. It sounds like in the detailing, like you're doing a lot of that already. But that helps me to fine tune. It's like what we do in boot camp and for the accelerators and with my own clients. It fills those small little gaps. And some of it you may not know until you get through it and you're like, oh, good to know. Look at this pattern that's showing up. And then you can add it to your big notepad.
One of the other things that was huge for me at Lifestyle Live was that, I kept feeling like I can't roll anything out until it is perfected. And that research piece to me was just eye-opening to be able to say, all of this is just research. And I just can go into it and I will write down what works, write down what doesn't work, change what didn't work, fix and, make it into something that's going to work. And that thought of this is never a done product. This is never a done deal.
Right.
It's a continual, we're going to continually change it. I'm going to continually change what I offer and how I offer it and how I work and to have that mindset instead of this, one and done perfected thing that goes out into the world. That was a huge mind shift for me too, because I was working way too hard to make it perfect before I'd even tried it out.
Right.
So,
yeah. And then once we have that aha, it's like, well, how can I even make it perfect? There's so much information I don't have.
Right.
Like we haven't gone through the experience. So their actions, their experience hasn't informed me. So, but we usually can't think that thought until we're on the other side of it.
Right. Right.
But that's why I love that, just envisioning ourselves as a researcher. We've got the white lab coats on, our little notebook, and it's like, okay. And that's something that we do. So I'd encourage you to do this as well. Like, you've got this project with these 35 to 40 people. And I'm guessing it's going to take some kind of time frame that you're going to be with these people at.
Right. A year.
And then you've got these, so a year. So one of the things that we do with all of our projects, whether it's a small project or a big project, like we always, before the project starts, we always schedule the debrief, right? The power is in the debrief. That's where you get to really garner the research. Mm-hmm. And so like this coming Wednesday, we have our internal debrief with our whole team about Lifestyle Live. And we're going to ask 3 questions. What worked really well? What didn't work? And then this is my favorite question. What will we do differently next time? Mm-hmm. That keeps me in research mode, because it's easy to say what didn't work. And it can be easy to get stuck in, oh gosh, I failed, or I let them down, or who am I to think that, like all those villains can start creeping in, right? But when you immediately go to what will I do differently, now you get back into research mode.
Yeah, into that creative energy.
Exactly. And so if you're going to be with them a year, like you might even want to do a midpoint, or every 3 or 4 months, quarterly. It's like, let's research this together, so that you're always putting together what you need and fine tuning. And same with the kids camp.
And I want to put this together so that I can replicate it and be able to move it to the next company and the next group. So
that is beautiful. And that's what we did with boot camp, right? We started boot camp because we were working with individual clients, and we were doing the research, and we're like, wow, look at all these same patterns. Mm-hmm. So then we were able to identify the client success path for a boot camper. And then instead of working with 4 or 5 or 6 people at a time, we started working with 30 people at a time. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, once we did that for a little bit, and we fine-tuned it even more, and now we work with 100 or 200 or 400 people at a time in that same process. And so now talk about scaling. Once you have that process, now it's easy to bring more people into. And I love the confidence that you have. It's like, oh my gosh, this is what I do. Here's actually what you do. Here's your challenges, your results, and here's the process. And they're like, please sign me up for that.
Right. It was super easy. They were like, okay, but that's great.
Yeah. and now you're in total control, because you can put your foot on the gas and be like, all right, let's work with more people. Or you can say, whoa, I'm good for now. So you can let off the gas a little bit. And now you're in charge of the business you create and the lifestyle you create. And it's beautiful.
I'm super excited. Super excited.
Me too. I'm so excited for you.
This is the first time that I really honestly felt like I can do this. You know, before it was this, I hope I can do this. I think I can do this. I've got great ideas, but I kept saying I'm not a businesswoman. I'm a nurse. I'm a coach. And now it's like I own a business, and I happen to coach and be a nurse in my business. And that's a huge difference to be, to own that. I'm a business owner, and so I need to behave like a business owner when I'm in that mode, and not be the coach who's like, well, how do you feel about it? But say, here I am, I'm business. This is what we're going to do. And then switch to coach when it's time to coach. So that, again, there were just so many moments through the whole a couple of days that was just like, yes, I need that. Oh, yes, I need that. So
beautiful. Well, I love how you took all those nuggets from the event, put it together, and then in a very short time implemented what you got from the event, and look at what's already happening. And this is just the beginning, right?
I am certain of that. I'm certain of that.
Well, Michelle, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for popping in here. And I just, I think it's going to be contagious. I know a lot of people, and what you just said, I know I can do this. And I said that at the event, like that is really what stops most people, is they start thinking they can't do it.
Right. Well,
and that's why,
that's what was going on with me.
you were experiencing the same thing. And that's what I see over and over. It's not strategy. It's not marketing. It's they start believing they can't do this, which is why I was like, I've got to call her because this is awesome. So thank you for being that inspiration to yourself and to what I think is going to be so many people. And you have to keep us posted.
Okay,
like
I will.
With the kids retreat and with everything else that unfolds, share your celebrations with us regularly.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Awesome. Thank you, Michelle.
So much.
We'll talk soon. All right.
Okay, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.